two other guys on that list potentially. One, Callum Smith, who's obviously stated that he would love to fight you in the States as well. That's a big fight, good fight.
I love that fight.
168 pounder, and someone that could give you, an opportunity to become a 2-weight world champion.
I love that fight.
2-weight 3-time.
For sure. I love that fight. I think he hasn't truly been tested yet, especially against a top-notch world-level fighter. I'm not sure if it's been hard for him to get fights at that level. But his last fight with Ryder, if I'm not mistaken, was a very close,
he's another guy
fight.
Who could be a potential opponent as well. I mean, he proved himself 100%.
Exactly. So it's really so many opportunities out there for me, but the top-notch guys is just, for me, it's exciting because they're all good, and I know they're all going to test me. And now that I'm vouching that I'm going to be my best, and we've just seen me, my last outing, me finally have a chance to be comfortable. And, I made son of a legend say no mas in 5 rounds, So give me another opportunity to get acclimated, and let's go for the gusto.
Well, there you have Daniel Jacobs talking about potential fights in the super middleweight division there that could be set up for him by Eddie Hearn. James Bell of the Boxing Source here with another video, and this one talks about what Daniel Jacobs said in this particular case when Eddie Hearn asked about him fighting a Callum Smith or any of the other super middleweights that are out there. You did talk about John Ryder, who did give Callum Smith, all that he could handle and more, according to some that felt that John Ryder actually beat Callum Smith in that particular fight. But with Callum Smith being the world champion there at super middleweight, having that Ring Magazine championship, being the WBA super champion, and if I'm not mistaken, the WBC diamond champion at super middleweight, there is a potential chance that he could fight Daniel Jacobs and defend those titles against Daniel Jacobs. Now, there was like an interview, I think it was through IFL TV, where they talked with Eddie Hearn, and once they tried to have the fight between Billy Joe Saunders and Canelo Alvarez solidified, that left Callum Smith, looking for an opponent, because he was also potentially talked about as an opponent for Canelo Alvarez or a potential opponent for Billy Joe Saunders in a unification match. But now, since they had the thing with Canelo Alvarez and Billy Joe Saunders that was going to be scheduled for May 2nd at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Callum Smith needed an opponent, and Daniel Jacobs could have been a potential opponent. So when things get back up again in the sport of boxing, you could potentially see Callum Smith against Daniel Jacobs for the world titles that Callum Smith has. And Daniel Jacobs is like, hey, he said, let's go for the gusto. Like, if they have those big fights available, like, he's ready for it. He wants to take on that challenge. And he also talked about him being comfortable at the 168-pound limit and him not having to go down as much as, he was talking about in order to make weight. So he's like, him being more comfortable at this particular point in his professional career, that he can handle those fights at 168 pounds right now. So that's what I got in reference to this particular topic with Daniel Jacobs. We'll see if he potentially does face Callum Smith for those world titles that Callum Smith has. But it just remains to be seen in this particular instance. You can subscribe to the Boxing Source on YouTube. You could also go and check out the Boxing Source radio show live at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time Sundays on Blog Talk Radio. You can also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Radio Public, or whatever your favorite podcast app is. On that note, folks, I'm out. Peace.